Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome to the House of McTiernan, the latest entry in the Houselights series here on the Nerd Party Network. This week we're continuing our series on the directed works of John McTiernan in the 1990s with 1999's The Thomas Crown Affair. I'm Darren Moser, and I'm joined again by my friends, insurance investigator Tristan Riddell and police detective John Mills. Gentlemen, cue up Sinnerman on your Discman on repeat. And let's get ready to talk about the Thomas Crown Affair. Oh man, that jams. It's still so good listening to it again.
I think the entire score of this is wonderful. I was stunned. I'm sorry. Did I stutter? Did you not understand what I said?
I'm sorry. I don't normally do this when we start the show, but that was going to be like the first thing I brought up where I was like, this has to be one of the worst musical scores
Completely
ever.
disagree. Obviously, I completely disagree. I thought it matched the tone.
Oh my gosh!
And the tenor of the film absolutely perfectly.
My wife and I couldn't focus on the movie because the music was so bad. We were just like, "What movie did this person think they were scoring?"
It's just, I mean,
I completely disagree.
Oh,
maybe I'm
That's
in
crazy.
the middle because I thought a lot of the music cues were great, like when they're in the glider, and every time
Those are
there's something
insane.
going on. It definitely didn't feel distracting.
No, not at all. And in fact, I love the music cues that they chose for like the ending reverse double inverted twisty heist and stuff like that.
Okay, you got to
Where
give
it's
me like the opening Trojan horse scene though. You got to give me that. Like that
What, the music
was
for that?
way out of there.
Eh,
Oh,
I'm
trying to remember that one. 'Cause
seriously, that was
a
my
while ago.
main gripe. That was my I rarely bring up music. That was my main gripe about this movie.
Well, I mean, right now we've got a vote of 2-1. So in true democratic fashion, Tristan, you're wrong. So there you go. This has been Houselights, which you can find at the
You can find us,
nerdparty.com.
like nerdparty.com. Actually, how about you give that spiel,
where we
John?
always agree at newparty.com.
Yeah, the nerdparty.com, where you can reach out to us at the nerdparty.com/contact. You can reach out to the network at Joy Nerd Party on the Twitter, and you can find the Nerd Party on Facebook and Instagram. And tell Tristan, as Darren and I are, that the score for this ranges anywhere from adequate to very good. And there you go.
I think
Come
that's
to
a
me. Tell me I'm wrong.
fair
I dare you.
assessment. Well, again, so I mean, we're talking about McTiernan, and we start off like hot with this heist. Like we're in it. You barely have a chance to breathe, and we're in the middle of. There's many heists that go on in this movie, guys. It's a fun ride, but. What did you guys think of the Trojan horse heist, the literal Trojan horse, which was hilarious?
And
And
the clown car of a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
So many people. It made me think of what is it? True Lies, where they also are smuggling stuff inside like Persian horses or something like that. Apparently, that's how you get stuff in. You put it in the horse.
Yeah, but that's the thing in True Lies. Those things were big enough to actually hold four.
And there's
men.
like 4 of them, and this is like one. And apparently, yeah, that's true. They do clan car a little bit.
It has 4 legs, 1 person in each leg. Those legs were very thick. There you go.
I mean, we got so much screen time for, the curator's assistant, deciding where to put the giant crate. That it did take a little while for us to get inside the museum, but we're because in a way, we're also establishing the scene for the second heist that'll come, or the return heist, I guess, at the very end of the film. And yeah, it's great because already you're starting to the windmills of your mind, as they were, are turning, because this is definitely one of those movies where the second time I think is a real pleasure because you see the foreshadowing. There's a ton of foreshadowing in this. There's tons of cat and mouse and back and forth. So speaking of watching it the second time, Tristan, was this the first time you were watching the Thomas Crown Affair, or were you revisiting it again now here in the 2020s?
I had seen it before because this is one of my dad's favorites. Like, he likes the original and he likes the remake, and so I remember watching it with him, but I was very, very young, and so I've only remembered bits and pieces of it, and so this is the first time in decades that I'd seen it, and this felt like the first time from beginning to end. So for that, I'd say that this was kind of my first time watching it.
Did any of those foreshadow pieces kind of click from what you had remembered, or like you said, is it really kind of a first view? I mean, they're all dodgy as all get out with each other, and there's more to everything they're saying. But
like, one thing that I really remembered from watching it the first time was how it ended, and
right.
And so it nothing really was that big of a surprise. I was really just kind of trying to watch it for the pacing and the chemistry and the writing and the performances and things like that, because I knew how I knew how the beats were going to go, and I knew that like the painting was going to be revealed by the water at the end, and
right.
It was the one that he donated. So yeah, like I said, there wasn't too many surprises. So the foreshadowing, I loved the one thing. Actually, we kind of stopped doing this, but we on the show we used to say, like, okay, where do you see McTiernan? Or like, where
right.
do you see the director? Like, where do you see Wes Anderson? Where do you see Nolan? And with this one, I saw McTiernan right away when Crown leaves his briefcase during the first heist, and they do an insert, like the camera lingers on the briefcase just a second longer than it should have.
This is important. Yeah.
And it's just John McTiernan saying, "Hey, everybody, are you paying attention? This is just gonna pop up later." And I think you can find one if not many moments like that throughout his films. So yeah, it's just like Chekhov's gun is definitely in your face.
Chekhov's painting.
See, I think that like McTiernan, the tell, and I was looking for it again, but he loves these shots, and there's one very early on of people basically in shadow with these lens flare-y lights directly into the camera, sort of thing. You have a shot like that in Die Hard, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. In I think even in Medicine Man, there are shots like that. And so I actually enjoyed seeing that, because it really does show again that no matter what director of photography he's working with, McTiernan's going to have a visual stamp on it that you're going to know it's the John McTiernan visual style. And with this, he really leaned into something that he really has a lot of fun with, I think, with the Die Hard movies, and then with this one, of moving the camera in such a way that really, goes, he loves those like sort of like 3/4 reveal shots, or having the character walk into extreme close up and stuff like that. And I really like the visual language that he brings to those parts of the movie. I think this is my first time seeing it, but when we got to the ending, I knew everything that was going to happen. And I don't know if that's because I consider it insanely predictable, or because I saw it.
I'm going to go with, you probably saw a clip on a YouTube somewhere where it was like best heist, moments.
Or I walked in at the end of it on cable or something like that, because I was like, yeah, this is way too familiar. But that was the only part of it that was really too familiar to me.
And that's really the iconic part of the movie, is the end bowler hat, scene, or one of the moments. I even noticed, talking about foreshadowing, the opening titles. Like, I don't think I ever noticed before that as it reveals each name, it would pick 2 or 3 vowels and swap them and exchange them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's literally what they do the entire movie. And we're already telling you, hey, we're not stealing, we're swapping and replacing. From the first moment. So we have our Trojan horse mishap, and we're instantly introduced to the main character of this movie, Rene Russo, and just where she's got the beauty, she's got the brain, she's instantly. I love that scene where she's just kind of tearing into the detectives, going, so wait, so these guys with they have climbing harnesses on, and all the pieces are there, you're not wrong, but they're gonna load 1,000 pounds of paintings and 800 pounds of men into a plane or a helicopter rated for 600 pounds. And you're like, oh yeah, that does not make sense. And you're like, okay, I like this character. I like that they're smart. They know what's up. It's not their first time in the heist world, I guess.
Yeah, I do. It is sort of. It plays to Dennis Leary's strengths to have him be the smarmy, borderline incompetent cop he's the right kind of comic relief for this movie, basically.
He's competent, but he doesn't care.
Right.
She cares like crazy, but you can't have both of them care that much, or they would just burn out.
And I think is it Frankie Faison is the name?
Yep, Frankie Faison. Yeah, I love Frankie. He's
wonderful.
He gets to have fun. Like every time like something goes sideways, he just smiles and he's like, "Oh, that's just great."
Fun side note, he's the only actor to appear in all 3 Hannibal Lecter movies. I don't count the 4th one. He is in Manhunter, and he's in Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. He's the only actor to appear in all 3 of them. So fun little side note for you. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, he doesn't appear. Maybe he does appear in the remake of Red Dragon that was just called the Brett Ratner version. Can't remember. Anyway, no, he's always a treat. He's got such a great energy, and he's one of those character actors. When he shows up, you're like, oh, okay, I know how to relate to
I know
this
what I'm
character.
going to get from this guy. Yeah. And he's usually a cop, usually, somebody with a badge, and and you're rooting for him, but he's the secondary cop. Like, we know what we're going to get out of this. And maybe we could take a moment, talk about comparisons to the original. This is also a remake, like many films are nowadays. And I was talking before with Tristan how it feels like kind of like how Ocean's 11 was also a remake of a much older film that drastically changed, bringing it into the modern audience. And I have personally not seen the original Thomas Crown, but I think he's like a bank robber, and it's just a very, very different story. That McTiernan was like, no, we need to not have him like hold up people at gunpoint in in 2 bank robberies. Instead, it's an art heist, and no one really gets hurt except for a bunch of rich people who don't really care.
Well, I'll give credit to a film professor back in college when we looked at Cool Hand Luke. At what Thomas Crown is doing is what this professor would have termed Joseph Miller. That was his name. He would have termed it an existential crime,
right? Where
nobody actually is going to get hurt. Nobody gets hurt. And so the audience is willing to go along with it. It's like, with Guys and Dolls, they're mobsters, but it's just guys playing a craps game. So there's nothing insanely negative for the audience to be like, well, these people are of low, everybody's like, they're just playing a craps game. Who cares? And so I think that it was really smart, because I agree.
You need
that
to
when
keep
you
Thomas sympathetic, where you actually you want him to succeed and get away with it. But if he had shot somebody during the robbery, you'd be like, no, I want you to go to jail because that's where you belong.
Right. Right. Yeah. Totally different shape to that type of crime, for sure.
But we do get lots of inspiration and homage to the original. I mean, especially with the casting of Faye Dunaway as the psychiatrist.
I was going to say, it was like one huge homage.
I was going to say, that's the biggest one. Which is nice, though, because I mean, if you don't know that that's the connection, it still works and is part of the story. I don't think she even gets a name. It's just the psychiatrist as she's probing into his mind. And I don't know. I feel the psychiatrist parts work because it does kind of get us into his mind in a way that I don't really know any other way you would.
I think it works generally, it very much feels of its time, because 1990s movies love to have those conversation scenes where like the other person's talking off screen and you're focused on the reaction shot of the star or what have you. But it sort of fizzles out along the way, where it's like it's a good way to open the movie, but then I think like the last time they go to it, I'm like, I got the point, guys. We don't need this.
Yeah,
this is
right.
At this point, this is fluff.
I mean,
I'm
she's
with
saying,
you on that one. Yeah.
Yo, go ahead, Tristan.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, it was like I agree with you. Like, it was fun at the beginning to show the kind of dynamic. You get a little backstory. You go into a psyche just a little bit. It's exposition-y, but it's fine. But then when they keep going back to it, and then there's like one scene where Faye Dunaway is just laughing hysterically at him, and he doesn't even say a word, and you're just kind of like, okay, I don't know why that scene happened, but yeah, it stayed too long and became unwelcome.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I felt they used it kind of like a seasoning and not too heavy-handed, but they're definitely trying to get to the point of, oh no, our hero has met his match and he loves her, but how does he escape? And maybe it was a little too heavy-handed. Like, okay, we get it. Like, we get that sent from the initial setup. We don't necessarily need to be reinforced with it like 2/3 through the movie. Like, we know the stakes, we know what's going on. But the other symbolism, I would say, is when they're dancing, we have a little bit of a waltz of Windmills of Your Mind, which is also from the original Thomas Crown Affair. Very 60s song. I will say that, but but it, again, beyond that, I felt like they had the reins to take it in whatever direction they needed to tell this particular story.
The one thing I'll say is, to go back as well with what we were saying about the psychiatrist scenes, this movie does have this strange tendency, and it feels almost as if it just goes against what we've seen McTiernan establish about himself up to this point. And I point to specifically the sequence with the glider, where it just keeps going. And a McTiernan movie, if anything, I'm used to being just brutally efficient. And it's disconcerting. Not disconcerting. That's not the right word. But
Off-brand.
It's like off-putting.
Yeah.
Right? It's off-putting because when you're at the heist in the beginning, I'm like, this is his comfort zone. When he's doing switcheroos, when he's got stuff going around, I'm like, this is John McTiernan doing what he does really well. And then when it lingers on these romantic scenes, it seems...
But you have to build the romance. Like, you can't not have it, but...
You do, but at the same time...
It's not his bread and butter.
When he goes to, what's the island? Martinique or whatever?
Yeah, the Caribbean or
They
somewhere.
take forever to drive there. And there's not even really any dialogue. It's just her, acting like a sorority girl going like, woohoo, out the window. And it's like, I mean, this doesn't really advance anything. Yeah, exactly. I love islands. But
and that is not Manhattan. It's like, well, that's a good line.
But the thing is, it's even out of character for her. And I know it's supposed to establish that she's loosening up and she's having fun, but it does nothing for the actual story. And then likewise, the glider thing goes along and I'm like, oh, this is cute. And it's still going. And it's still okay. All right. Yeah, she took the stick. We can land we're still going to go for a little bit longer. All right. That's fine.
That was one thing that I had a hard time with this movie, was the pacing. I felt like it was on and off, where it's just like there were so many sequences where I'm just like, oh my God, we're still here. Or like, why is this scene here? Like, this is redundant, like what you just said about the glider scene is a perfect example where like you establish the idea and then you relish way too long in it. And it's weird coming off of Die Hard with a Vengeance, which is so fast and so utilitarian. I know they're two very different movies. I'm not trying to compare them. I know one is a heist.
When Zeus romance. Was in the glider, I love that part. Land, mother. No, don't give me the stick. Don't give me that. I don't know how to fly this thing.
McLean.
I'm not landing this white plane with its white problems.
If you're going to land a rich boy white glider in Harlem, it's not going to go over really well for you.
The thing is, I feel we're making this movie even better right now with our little rewrite session. I think that's great. I mean, let's go.
We're in New York, so why can't McClane be on this?
Right.
This beat. No, oh my gosh.
That's what I was about to say is Dennis Leary can be replaced with John McClane, and that's how you get Powell in. You turn this into a secret Die Hard sequel. It's even better than what we got.
But like a boring Die Hard movie where like McClane's just like, oh my god.
Like, Die Hard 4, McClane in hell.
The entire time. It's the worst and yet the best thing at the same time.
Or even if he did like a Last Action Hero type cameo where he just walks past in the precinct, you know?
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Yeah,
that would have been fantastic. That would have been wonderful. But I'm sorry, Tristan. I sort of like trampled all over what you were talking about.
Oh my gosh. No, it was hilarious. No. I don't even know what I was saying. No, just,
but you're
just
talking about
pacing,
cutting for pacing, which is kind of, I get what you're saying, but it also is a rather short movie. It's under 2 hours. It's only 106 minutes. So like you shave off too much more and you're at like Disney movie level. Like, you're really short.
I felt every minute of its
those
runtime.
106 minutes.
I really did. And that is what's atypical for a McTiernan movie. Even with Last Action Hero, as much as I didn't like that movie, it still moves with the exception of that horrifying kid getting abused in his own apartment by a gun-wielding maniac.
That's true. Yeah,
that was not paced well. But the rest of that movie is paced well, and it's one of those things where sometimes I would say that a healthy editor-director relationship would end up with the editor sitting down with McTiernan and saying, "Look, I really think there's about 5 or 10 minutes we could still sacrifice and keep going, and you have to be okay with that," because I do think that my estimation of this movie skyrockets if it's just 5 or 10 minutes shorter, because I'm not spending as much time saying, okay, can I get to the next scene, please? I got the point.
There was a few times when I really questioned the editing, and it's not just due to the pacing. Like there was a few shots where the juxtaposition was all wrong, and I was really surprised because I mean, this is John Wright. I mean, he did Speed, Red October, X-Men, the upcoming 13th Warrior, and he did Last Action Hero too. Like this guy knows how to cut. Like he knows what he's doing. So I don't know if it was a lack of coverage or what, but there was a few times when there wouldn't be an establishing shot or an exterior scene or something like that. I'm not saying you have to do that every single time, but there were times when we would cut between Rene Russo and Rene Russo, and it would just be an awkward positioning where like she'd be leaving a building, all of a sudden she'd be sitting at a diner, and there was just a few moments like that where you just kind of like blink a couple of times. You're like, why did they do that? So yeah, I think I don't know what it was.
It's like, more that she's in a new location because her outfit changed rather than any sort of establishing shot. You're like, okay,
something like that.
Something must have changed because she's wearing something different.
Do you think that it's possibly, because the music reflects this, that it's trying to be a jazzier, looser sort of feel to everything? Do you think it's possible that they were trying to do that and it just never clicked? And so, no,
I'd say no, because it wasn't consistent enough. Like if you created a motif from it, then you get it.
Right. But that's
like
what I'm
if
saying
you look at
like,
the movie Closer, which is a garbage movie, but they do
yes, it is.
They do a really good job of showing the passage of time by not showing the passage of time. It was a great cutting job. Horrible movie, but great cutting job, and that shows that really well. This one, they didn't do it enough to make it a consistent theme.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that maybe there's an argument that like they started going down that road and they were like, no, let's go back to our comfort zone, and then they never got a chance to go back and like correct what they did.
I don't know. I mean,
it's possible.
That's pretty lazy if you're just like, well, we got the first 30 minutes cut and we tried something, it didn't work, but let's finish that last hour.
I wasn't there. I mean, the next movie comes out at the end of the same month. Maybe they were just really busy, right?
Could be.
So, I don't know, purely speculative, but
he's got
I'm going to stick
computers,
with it.
actually not computers. That was in the 90s.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
He spends 3 hours working at one editing bay, and then he literally just turns his chair around and starts mixing.
So you're saying we're lucky that like there's not footage of the 13th Warrior in the Thomas Crown Affair by mistake. Like, oh no, that's the wrong reel. It actually works. It works.
It's been years since I saw 13th Warrior. Maybe those missing establishing shots are in 13th Warrior in some sort of weird dream sequence. I don't know.
Okay, because I didn't look it up on when that was released. I didn't realize it was so close.
It was literally released 21 days later.
2 movies in the same year in any scenario is nuts. But oh my gosh, that's
it's
crazy.
Almost as if the studios that McTiernan works with wind up hating him in some way. So like, okay, you're going to go up against Jurassic Park. We'll take it easy on you with Die Hard 3. And then you're going to compete against yourself in 3 weeks. Have fun. It's like, it's not fair. It's not nice. So, well, anyway.
Well, let's talk about the main characters. So, I mean, I joked about like Rene Russo is kind of the main character. Let's talk about that. Like Pierce Brosnan, I think, does an amazing job. He's very. It does have a flair of Bond to it, but I feel it's slightly different enough that I don't feel like I'm watching 007 like act this out. Like he is, his own character, but the more I think about it, at least for the driving force of the movie and making decisions and all that, like it's really Rene Russo's picture. Like it's 50 and 51%. Like they're so close. But what do you think, John? Is this a Rene Russo picture? Should she have had top billing?
Well, John from the 1990s feels any Rene Russo picture is a Rene Russo picture because he had quite the crush on her for a very long time. And seeing this movie for what is presumptively the first time, anyway, no, I agree with you. She's the real main character of this. She's the character that I think we spend the most quality time with and that we get to know the best actually. Because she's who we spend time with. She's the one that interacts with everybody. And our only understanding, in my opinion, of Thomas Crown is through her. There's no real effort to make him relatable outside of her.
That's why they had to add in, the psychiatrist scenes because he naturally is hidden because he's not the villain, but he's the antagonist as far as her course and her desire.
The foil.
He's the foil. So we don't want to know how he did it from the very beginning because that's the point, is that we don't know until Rene knows at the end.
Yeah, because once they pass the movie to Rene Russo's legs at the beginning, she it becomes her movie, as in we see it through her eyes, like it's through her perspective. Yep. Besides those psychiatrist scenes, because even when we go away from it a little bit, when we see Dennis Leary go into his house, into Crown's house with. Let me get back to that. Like into Crown's house, and Crown is cooking, and his lawyer is there, and everything like that. And then they vacate. She's in the car the entire time, so she's still like tertiary in that scene, and that's really the only time that I remember going away from her perspective. Now, going back to that, what was that scene like? Okay, so did Leary have a fake warrant? Was it not good enough? Like, what was the deal there? Like, why didn't that warrant hold up?
I'm guessing it was enough to search the house, but the lawyer was probably like, but you have no probable cause. Like there's no. Well, what do you think, John?
No, I think you're right. I don't know. Don't take legal advice from me, but I believe
I know that, John.
I wish I knew that now.
Sorry. I believe that the lawyer can challenge it basically and call a judge and say, okay, I'm calling the judge.
And the point that his lawyer was right there. It's like it just happened so much faster than they were expecting.
Because the only other possible explanation I could have is that there's some sort of legal thing where if you're cooking dinner with your lawyer, all warrants are invalid. So that's why you should have your lawyer move in with you.
It was just so strange to me because I know I shouldn't be focusing on this because it's like my dad would get annoyed with me all the time. He's like, it's a movie. It's a movie.
But it's trying to be a smart movie, so it has to be smart.
Yeah, it's trying to be a smart movie. That's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up because the only probable cause that they had, it wasn't even probable. It was like, okay, so like you'll never guess like who's bought a lot of Monets. this rich guy, like who was at the art, the art museum that he loves to go to because he loves art and he buys Monets and he's rich. So
and he stopped the guys from escaping of his own thief thing. Like, yeah.
And so like, fall apart. Obviously we know because we paid money to watch the movie.
We saw him do it.
And so, it's do it. But what judge would sign that warrant? And so it just kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Well, I could make a joke, and I'm like, well, after 2001, they'll just use the Patriot Act to come in after them. So
I don't know if missing Monet would warrant.
Oh, they can do things for all sorts of crazy reasons now. So don't worry about it.
I was trying to remember because I knew he had a friend like they're eating dinner. I was trying to remember if it was like the governor or something. I couldn't remember until the scene actually came up that it was like. But, obviously it says lawyer, but I'm like, that'd actually also been funny if he's like, well, let me ask the governor who happens to be having breakfast with me. And it's just, or the mayor or something where it's
something like that. Yeah.
You are in trouble now because, it's obviously just establishing he is so rich and so well connected that it just bounces off him. It doesn't even hinder him.
Well, speaking of wealth and connections, I do have to point out that, McTiernan used a lot of his own stuff in this movie.
Oh, that's right.
So this was the thing where the IRS saw the movie and was like, we should look into that guy. Because they use
his tractor on his farm. He uses this like classic dark green Shelby Mustang. And he's got there are all of these things where it's like, how could McTiernan not be a darling of the studio? Because they're like, how are we going to cut some money from the production budget? It's like, I got all of this stuff. I can just come on in. I got a sub, the leftover sub from. It's just in the back.
Yeah, it's just sitting in his private lake on the New York farm. In upstate, that sort of thing.
That was the deal. We had to shoot 1/10 of the movie on my estate.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Caribbean.
Well, boy, that what a money laundering scheme that could be, right?
That's okay. Wow. I just charged what it was worth to the budget, and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, yeah, no, it's what I also find interesting, although I because the thing is, I got to ask both of you, like the Metropolitan Museum of Art was asked whether they could do some of this in there, and they were like, hard pass.
Yeah, they're like, no, we're good. Yeah.
And so I gotta imagine it's because
I felt like I was in the Met. Like, I've never been there, but now I'm always wondering, where was the large lobby actually shot? Obviously it was somewhere else and not.
It was the public library.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Got it. That makes sense. Cause I'm like that they didn't build, and like, there's no way.
Yeah, no.
They're like, fine, we'll just build our own museum. It's like, are you crazy? Like, that'd be huge. But
no, those shots were from the public library, and the fake museum shots were all just built.
Yeah, soundstage stuff.
Which they probably would have done anyway, because there's so much to that room that is plot intensive, from the placing of the paintings to the shutter system, the gate system, all of that you would have to build from scratch.
I've got to imagine that the harsh movie lights just would not be very good for real paintings that they're trying to preserve. So that
not
made
to mention
a lot
the
of
time
sense.
when they have the smoke going off and the water going off. Like, that's all fake. It's all fake, guys. It's okay. No Monets actually got ruined during the filming of this picture. Actually, I think they spell it out like in a big old paragraph at the end of the credits. They're like, "Hey,
I know
we're not in a museum. Not just we don't condone stealing art, and it's just a movie."
Isn't that nuts though? That like they would have to put a disclaimer that's like, "We don't condone stealing art, but I can watch a Fast and Furious movie and watch people drive like that on the road all the time." I'm like, "Hey guys, throw me a bone. Put a little disclaimer. Don't drive like this, please, for the love of God."
They did.
They did?
Yeah, I remember when Fast and Furious first came out, there was a huge push to
against street racing.
Like, against street racing. Like, I remember Paul Walker had the there was this intro where Paul Walker is like sits down and says like,
hey kids.
and talks about how street racing is stupid. You shouldn't do it. And there was a lot of backlash when the first one came out, and so they had to do like this whole ad campaign about how you shouldn't street race, but you should see the movie.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, obviously, but like, no, I'm talking about like disclaimers at the end and everything.
Right.
It seems a bit much. What kid is going to sneak into Thomas Crown Affair, a remake of the 1968 classic, and a 13-year-old sneaks in and watches it, and is like, I know what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to steal art, and I'm going to set off sprinkler systems to see if fake paintings are behind the ones.
Okay, so if a 13-year-old snuck into Thomas Crown Affair, I don't think his focus would be on stealing art.
Counterpoint, if he sees that part of that life leads to Rene Russo.
No, but see, they established that the only way he gets away with it is he's already a billionaire. They're like, the only way he can afford any of this heist is because he is independently wealthy.
I want to talk about that. Okay. So the whole time, it's all about him trying to get away with it. And that's
the thrill of it's like the golf scene. Where he's like, why? Like, what else we got to do? We're billionaires and we're playing golf, so bet money.
Yeah, for the thrill of it. Okay, I get that. Okay, so at the end with he returned the painting days later, and so at some point it would be revealed. Like the next time that painting goes on loan someplace else, they're going to discover that it's a fake. And then he'd be found out.
Well, but it's his painting.
That's true.
I'm just saying, but I know where you're.
I guess you're
going.
right. You're right. You're right.
Like if they're like, "Hey, can we send this to someone else?" He's like, "No, send it back. It's my painting."
But I'm
trying to remember if had he met Rene Russo before he gave the painting back? I think that's the keyer question, because if he had, then he's kind of like, oh, the game's afoot and I'm going to do this and put this into motion. But if he'd already given it back, then everything that happens with Rene Russo is just a coincidence.
I guess in my mind, him putting it back underneath a fake painting solidifies that he's going to have to be on the run. To me, am I wrong in that?
No, I think you're right.
And so so like, was he going to be on the run no matter, like, essentially he was going to be on the run no matter if Rene Russo went with him or not, or discovered him out or not, because eventually he would have been discovered. But then you said like, yeah, no, it's his, so he would just take it back or something.
Actually, I was trying to remember it. I just remembered, when he meets Rene Russo, when she tells him, oh, so here's the question. She meets him at the scene where he's like giving it back. Mm-hmm. So I want to know was he, this is how I think it went down. He was giving back, or he was giving that painting, not starting to get confused. He was giving them a painting on loan that was an actual painting. And then he meets with Rene Russo at that party as he's giving it back. Not giving it back, sorry. As he's lending the painting A, and then she's all like, "Hey, you did this. We're gonna get you. I'm gonna prove you." Then he does a substitution of that for the painting he actually stole to go back. Because
but that's even less smart.
The thing is, it's 2 days is too fast for that to happen. It's just the only reason I'd throw a flag on that.
That's
because it's
true.
like,
it's simplest reasoning is
he has to have had that fake already ready to go, because the forger could do it,
right?
And have it all set. But at the same time, it's all movie logic. And it's all because, like, really, if you scratch at the surface, what this movie is about is to have a time for mom and dad to go to the movie theater and see something a little thrilling with middle-aged people who fall in love instead of young people who fall in love. And that's the whole goal of this movie, honestly, is to have that sort of like date night movie happening. And I think that, that might be a little bit of a cynical way to look at it, but I think that's just the whole structure of the movie. So
no, I think you're right. I think the more we try to dissect that timetable of the painting, it starts to unravel really quickly. But
Yeah, I mean, but that's one of the things I do find interesting about the movie is its target audience is very clearly not your typical 18 to 24-year-old with a ton of disposable income. This is a movie that's built in such a way that it's basically an open declaration of like, we're going for the older audience that isn't going to the blockbuster. This isn't necessarily the Die Hard with a Vengeance audience that we're going after with this. We're making something a little more subdued, a little more, lack of a better word, like classy sort of thing. And the thing is, I honestly don't know whether this movie ever opens high. I think it opened at number 3, right? I don't know if it ever opens higher than that, but I know it wasn't done any favors by the smash sleeper hit sensation of The Sixth Sense being released on the same freaking day, which winds up being the runaway hit of the year.
Poor John.
McTiernan has the worst freaking luck about movies he's going up against.
So it's also the year of The Matrix and Episode 1. Like, you have some major movies.
But this is early August. You've got enough breathing room that this is effective counter programming for a blockbustered out movie audience that's already had its big action.
Because they would have had Episode 1 in May, because they always came out in May. So
Matrix was in March. Episode 1 came out in May. I'm sure there was something else that came out in June or July.
But then to drop the same weekend as Sixth Sense,
which was the big sleeper hit of the year, like, boom, he just gets screwed. Like, this should have been an extremely safe weekend to release something like this. This is a palate cleanser. This is not huge expectations for a giant opening weekend, but it should do well because, and the thing is, he's undone by going up against Bruce Willis.
I was just about to say, I was like betrayed by his own boy, Bruce Willis.
Why, Bruce? Why?
It's just, I mean, like, I literally can't get that stuff out of my brain. I feel badly for McTiernan because of that. Like, it's irrational, but I like, everybody goes to work some days and everything just lines up wrong. And you're like, why did I even show up today? And it's like, I can look at John McTiernan's life, this big time Hollywood director, and I can say he's had 2 days that I know he and I can relate to each other. And like, that's a pretty big thing. So.
Yeah. No, I think, well, I mean, it did do fairly well at the box office. Like, it didn't like bomb. It made its budget back and some, and then some, but it probably would have doubled. I think it made like 120 million, and it probably would have made double that if it had not been up again. If it had like at least a 3-week lead on Sixth Sense or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think this movie would have done. This would have been like the sort of sustained box office that could have gone. But I mean, opening at number 3, like opening at number 2, even is going to be a little bit softer for you. And it's just, I mean, because it was U.S. box office was 69 million, and so it didn't even clear, that here, which follows the trend actually, because Die Hard with a Vengeance, right, barely hits blockbuster status in the States, and so it's an earner, but it's not a great earner. Sort of thing. Yeah. Yes, it does make its money back, but
I mean, unfortunately, looking at his trajectory, like after it's kind of peaked with Red October, and then since then it's kind of just in this kind of diminishing returns slide of at least monetarily, like box office wise, which isn't the only metric, but
I mean, Die Hard 3 is the anomaly, but that's buoyed by the overseas box office,
right.
So I mean, it's. And the thing is, again, box office doesn't have anything to do with anything, sort of thing. But like, at the same time, it helps you make
more movies. So
right,
but
right, and it's just it didn't. Although they did talk about a sequel for years, like all the way up until what was it? I'm trying to look it up here.
What would that have
been? It was
though?
All the way,
story wise.
Apparently, he wrote a script for a sequel while he was in prison.
Wait, what?
It was and the thing is that Pierce Brosnan actually like played coy about a ton of stuff as well, where people would interview him and they were like, oh, are you ever going to do a sequel? And he's like, yeah, maybe. And it's like all the way up until let's see here, in the April 2014 edition of Empire magazine, McTiernan said he had written a script for the sequel while in prison. Productive use of time. You can focus a lot. Called Thomas Crown and the Missing Lioness, which is like, wait, Thomas Crown is Indiana Jones now?
Yeah, that's a interesting title.
Yeah, possible sequel in January 2007. It was actually still being talked about as a possible sequel, and it was going to be.
That's almost 10 years later. Like that's. See, I think they need to go like the Bourne route, where it needs to be like the Thomas Crown, like, and then
legacy,
some verb, that we use.
Well, this will blow your mind. In 2009, Brosnan claimed that Paul Verhoeven was attached to direct a sequel, and I'm like, wow,
I love my
for
boy
whatever.
Paul, but no, I don't.
You want to talk about a director with diminishing returns? Paul Verhoeven is a textbook example.
Ooh.
So you heard me. I said what I said. So, but yeah, it's I guess the talk of a sequel has finally died. But for it to have stayed alive,
I think it's
long,
I think the candle's burned out. I think it's 2022 from a 1999 movie.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, and now, what do you guys think of the finale scene? Do you feel that the finale heist is better than the opening heist? I mean, they're different, but they're both played out really well.
I think the finale heist is more fun. The first one is more Die Hard taking over Nakatomi Plaza type of heist, and
at the end, the stakes are higher because you're more invested.
Yeah, I just think it was more fun, but I think that overall the ending of this movie works better if they don't get together.
Really,
I think it works better because his whole thing that he says to her is.
It's an statement. It's you can either warn them and be there, or you can meet me at the platform at 4.
Yeah. And I just think it works better because the whole thing is about trust. And he keeps saying, you got to trust me. I need you to trust me.
But,
so
again, in the psychiatrist moment in the last one, where the psychiatrist says, if she's anything like you, she won't know what she's lost until she's lost it. And you see, he makes a moment, it's of course we're hearing Faye Dunaway and we're looking at Thomas Crown like in that moment, and you see him kind of like it clicks in his mind. And I think that's why he sets up this particular heist, because it is purposely structured to let her go down that path of, I got to call it in. We're going to be there. We're going to try to get you, but he's still going to get out of it. And then like they say, like, okay, the painting's back. You're done with this. You don't need to come after me anymore. And then she can now pursue him and choose him. So he is essentially giving her a second chance after realizing that she has lost something that she didn't want to lose.
I guess I just have an anti-romantic streak in me when it comes to movies, where I just always expect stuff like this to end sad. And so it just surprised me that we got the happy ending, if you will.
But if this is that date night movie for mom and dad, it's not going to end sad.
That's true. They're not going to be like, and then never the two shall meet again. It's like, oh, okay, that'd be a really downer at the very end of the movie.
Maybe it was a really specific niche audience that it was supposed to be a mom and dad date night movie for people who needed to talk about divorce. And so they just wanted the unhappy ending.
Wow.
So
this shifted.
Hey, no, I'm just saying, like, they got a target audience. No, I get what you're saying. You're right. It can't end sad because this is supposed to be.
And they've pulled so many strings to make him a sympathetic character that, like, you can get on board with him getting away with it.
No, that's an excellent point.
The girl.
I concede the point to both of you. Absolutely. That does make a lot of sense. Although I was bothered by her handing over a priceless painting to the lady at the airport counter and saying, "Could you just send this back to the cops?" What? Like, huh? Okay.
It's like, what is that movie where they roll up the painting and put it in the mail and it just gets mailed to them? Yeah, Entrapment. It had very much Entrapment vibes.
Oh no, it's
Spoilers.
right at the beginning. Don't worry about
Which was
Oh, okay.
also 1999. So
Was that 99?
it's talking about the
Yeah.
Millennium. The Millennium's
Yeah.
like a
Wow.
major part of the plot that we all went to see. The plot about that. That's what.
Wow. So wait a minute. Was Entrapment and Thomas Crown Affair, were those like the Deep Impact and Armageddon of 1999 then?
No, those so different.
No,
I
they're
would not-
very different.
Yeah,
Or the
I would not
Dante's-
both are
say-
heists, but they're very different.
Yeah.
So it's not like Dante's Peak and
Volcano.
No?
I mean,
Okay.
both have a bond as opposed, so
There you go.
a little bit of similarity, but I think we're stretching it. All right. Any other notes on Thomas Crown before we do our ratings?
I just want to say that it's a super uncomfortable sex scene, and I'm not saying uncomfortable as in I felt uncomfortable.
Those marble
because,
stairs, I gotta hurt.
Oh my god! He
There's a
banged
practicality.
Russo on marble stairs.
there is a
Who's that for?
there's a practicality question at play here. Yes.
It
There-
doesn't look sexy. It sure
No.
doesn't feel sexy.
It took half a day to get the camera in the ceiling for this shot. So we're gonna do as many shots from this like bird's eye view as possible. That's
And,
what
like,
people want.
Whenever they were on the staircase or like going, like whenever they were in a super uncomfortable position, you never saw their faces, and you just know that they're like, yeah, you can get the body doubles to do that stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not paying Pierce Brosnan money for this moment right now. No. Yeah, there's, it's so interesting because it's, I think even that, now, of course, the thing is, you can have a lot of fun and unpack this sentence, but I think that scene goes on too long too. Now, let me explain
Yes.
what I mean by that. It's not, it's not a stamina question. It's more of a thing of like,
It's an
okay.
editing question. Damn it!
right. I got the point. And, I think the marble steps could have been cut. We could go up to a certain point where it's like, oh, I know what's about to happen next.
And then they started doing it on top of a whole bunch of magazines. And then she's like pushing the magazines like with her body and everything like that.
We
and I
had to
turned to my
teach
wife and I'm
people
like,
this is how rich people have sex.
yeah,
right?
like, I turned to
Right?
my wife
Is
and I was
that
like,
what
is
we're
that
learning?
sexy? Is that a turn on? Doing it on magazines that were in the
it was
post office
paintings.
system?
Maybe you'd stacked paintings on the table. They're doing it on the paintings. I don't know.
It's like that scene in Indecent Proposal where they're having sex and all the money, and it's just like, ew.
Yeah.
Like, do
why
you know how
would you
gross
do
money
that?
is? Go shower.
I mean, with that, then it's like, aren't you going to feel a little weird, like handing that over to the grocer or something like that when you're spending it? I mean, I'd feel a little guilty.
Just
Give
a
it to your
little bit.
landlord. You're like, don't just put it in the bank.
Why is it
Put
so
right in the
warm?
bank.
Encase it in amber. Trust me, it's going to pay off in 65 million years.
Yeah.
Good times.
All right. Well, this being a review for you in recent times, Tristan, what would you rank the Thomas Crown affair?
Man, this just didn't click with me. I'd have to give it a 2.5. Where I just felt like there was so many parts, like the idea was good, but I thought the execution was flawed. I liked the characters for the most part. The music was laughably bad and so distracting, and the pacing was off. And there's a few times where, like, if you pull at the thread, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think that's. I know that we try to excuse it here and there, and there's oftentimes when you're like, "Yeah, it's just a movie." But when this is a motion picture that's trying to be smart, and you have to think about it, and you have to follow those threads, but if you pull at the threads, it unravels. That's a failure in the writing. And so it's just the pacing was off. It's a little bit too long, even though it's a shorter film. All those things that I said, I give it 2.5 mediocre.
Again, 1990s John really wants to give this 5 stars because of his crush on Rene Russo, but it's a modern time with a modern me, and I have to agree with Tristan 100% that despite the excellent musical work by Bill Conti, that we ended at 2.5 because I don't see anything that's going to make me revisit this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie, but I don't think it's the type of movie where I'm like, yeah, I might watch this again. It's just, I saw it, now I'm done. And that's enough for me. So 2.5 from me.
See, I enjoyed this movie. I love smart movies, and it was fun just revisiting it again because of the foreshadowing, really looking into like how exactly are they talking to each other? How much are they revealing? Like he's, bold up, basically admitting what's going on. And then, she is unsure, what she wants to do. But you did have a good point, John, of how much am I going to rewatch this? Like, and it's be honest, like I haven't watched it in a long time, even though I know I enjoyed it before. It's not really a pop in kind of movie. And just like, there's more, like I'll watch Ocean's 11 like 3 or 4 more times over to get that same kind of intrinsic, buzz of like, okay, yeah, they're going to do the heist and it's going to, be really cool. It's like this, like, okay, I've seen the heist this decade, maybe next decade I'll pop in again. And, so that's going to bring it down to a 3. I'm going to give it a 3 still. Like I do enjoy this movie. It's, I think, a great story, a great remake or a retelling of the, from the 60s. And yeah, and Rene Russo's great in it. Everything clicks. All right. Well, we have only one more picture in our lineup next, which also came out in 1999, apparently. So we're not even moving forward in time, with The 13th Warrior next week on Houselights. So again, keep the popcorn popping, clean off that table of those magazines, and tune back here for Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.